This chart gives us a snapshot of modern holiday spending. As you can see, Mother's Day pulls in roughly $25 billion, but Father's Day generates a massive retail footprint of its own at about $16 billion. But if we look back at the origins of these two holidays, there is a distinct timeline gap. By 1914, Mother's Day was already signed into law as an official federal holiday in the United States. Father's Day, on the other hand, didn't receive that exact same federal recognition until 1972. That is a 58-year delay. It raises a question. Why did it take almost 6 decades longer to validate fathers? And why did the loudest initial objections to a day honoring dads actually come from the dads themselves? To understand the resistance, we have to look at the first recorded Father's Day celebration. It happened in 1908 in Fairview, West Virginia, organized by a woman named Grace Clayton. Her motivation was rooted entirely in tragedy. The year prior, an explosion in a nearby Fairmont mine killed 362 men and boys. Over 1,000 children in the area were left fatherless in an instant. A year later, on the other side of the country in Spokane, Washington, another push began. This one was led by Sonora Smart Dodd. Dodd was sitting through a Mother's Day church service when she realized she wanted a way to honor her own father. He was a widowed Civil War veteran who raised 6 children entirely on his own after his wife died in childbirth. She took her idea to local store owners and government officials, eventually securing the support of the YMCA and the Spokane Ministerial Association. They successfully held their local celebration in June of 1910. But translating that local success into national law proved nearly impossible. President Woodrow Wilson attempted to bring the idea to Congress around the same time Mother's Day was made official, and lawmakers essentially brushed him off. The primary roadblock came from the men themselves. At the time, fathers were almost exclusively the sole breadwinners of the household. They hated the concept, viewing it as a commercial scam where their own hard-earned money would be used to buy them sentimental flowers that they didn't even want. Throughout the 1920s, the idea languished. One movement even tried to combine both holidays into a single generic Parents' Day, but that failed to gain any real traction. It took the Great Depression to force a change. Between 1929 and 1933, the economy collapsed. Retailers were hurting, and store owners desperately needed a way to move product. So advertisers pivoted. They stopped trying to sell men flowers and started promoting things men actually wanted to use: sporting goods, hats, socks, and neckties. The strategy was highly calculated. Retailers wanted to artificially engineer a second Christmas right in the middle of summer to drive consumer spending. Father's Day survived those early decades, largely because businesses figured out how to package and monetize male interests. During World War II, advertisers found a new angle. They shifted the narrative, promoting the holiday as a patriotic duty and a way to support the troops deployed overseas. Even with that cultural shift, government support remained strictly symbolic. Presidents like Calvin Coolidge publicly suggested people observe the day, but nothing was officially legislated. The first real governmental step didn't happen until 1966. President Lyndon B. Johnson signed an executive order establishing the third Sunday in June for the holiday. Finally, in 1972, President Richard Nixon signed the official proclamation, turning Father's Day into a permanent federal law. It took decades of relentless commercial lobbying, followed by the emotional weight of a world war, to finally break through that 58-year legislative wall. This visualization maps out how that legacy looks today. The average consumer spends about $139 celebrating the holiday. The bulk of that money goes to special outings at $3.3 billion, followed closely by clothing at $2.5 billion and gift cards at $2.3 billion. Greeting cards only make up about $830 million of the total revenue, yet they are actually purchased by the highest percentage of people. Today, Father's Day is a highly engineered global retail event that looks practically nothing like that solemn, grieving church service back in West Virginia. But in a strange way, the massive retail push achieved exactly what Grace Clayton and Sonora Smart Dodd originally set out to do. The marketing built a framework that practically forces society to stop for one day a year and actually express gratitude to fathers.